Let's talk about why nature hates brown people, or at least that is an argument being put across endlessly by multiple outlets on the basis that people are having to set up their own organizations, specifically for people with brown skin. I'm not going to use their terms of BAME or whatnot, whatever I can help because that is dumb.
Yes.
And it's always along the same lines, which is if your skin, there's also no limit as to what is white or what is brown in their minds, just the one drop rule, I assume. And we'll go through a whole bunch of these because we've done this before, but there's more and they just keep coming. And so the first one here, the Muslim hiker inspiring his community to hit the hills.
Well, that sounds nice.
Okay, yeah, sure. He wants to, I mean, it's a bit weird, but you have to segregate off Muslims.
But all of a sudden, his community, they mean Muslims, though, don't they? They don't mean his neighbours and the people in his district.
No.
And, okay, that's not so nice.
There's a quote from him in this. On average, 11 times less access, so brown people, have 11 times less access to green space than their white counterparts, and that only 20% of BAME children who visit natural environments go to the countryside compared to 40% of white children.
Is that because they disproportionately live in the cities, by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay, problem solved, move on.
But you would have thought, like, also the way he phrases that, less access. Is it, what do you mean less? Are you saying that you just can't be able to get the train journey or buy a car? I don't know what. There's not some white guy stopping you, like with his arms up being like, not on this.
You don't need a government permit to leave your city, believe it or not. Not yet.
This isn't North Korea. Anyway, but this organisation seems to have quite a lot of articles written about them specifically.
Okay.
We go to the BBC. There's another one from there in which they say Muslim hikers say abusive comments won't stop them. Yeah, of course. The comments aren't going to stop you from hiking. I don't know what to say about that. They say in here, but when they posted pictures of their big hike in the Peak District on Christmas Day on social media, they received abusive comments. The barriers for getting outside, they list here. The headline there. Although people from all backgrounds are welcome to join the Muslim hikers, sort of wonders why you called it Muslim hikers, but
that's a good point.
Maroon set it up to provide support for lonely people after lockdown. Well, that's a good thing.
Sounds great.
He says not enough people from Muslim backgrounds enjoy outdoor recreation because of different lifestyle and cultural norms. Well, there you are. There's your barriers. You said the limited
lifestyle
access.
and cultural norms.
Just differences in choice.
Change your lifestyle and cultural norms, and this becomes open.
But they didn't mention in here about the comments. Like, where are they from? They just mentioned they had some comments that were, upsetting to them, abusive. And sure, I can believe that those comments are real, but where from? And they don't say. And, well, if you just check out this organization's sort of name and then Google it, you can find out in September, before this article was published. If we go to the next one, please. The National, who published an article saying, the hikers who stood against racists raise high five-figure sums for charity. And this is in response to Patriotic Alternative, apparently. So, back in September, the fundraiser was already planned before far-right outlet Patriotic Alternative used the famous peak to film a publicity video unfurling a banner proclaiming White Lives Matter at the top.
Okay.
I don't know where they get involved in this. But after that, Haroon Motta, founder of Muslim Hikers, invited people of all backgrounds to join him to climb and stand with us against such groups promoting discriminatory views.
I don't think White Lives Matter is a discriminatory view, is it?
I mean, I know Patriot Alternative are white nationalists, so I get that. But if you're going to say that phrase is a discriminatory view or shouldn't be allowed, well, then BLM also has to go.
Well, I feel like this paper could have done a much better job of representing that group. What do they say they're called? Patriotic Alternative.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the national.
Promoting what they actually think, because fair enough.
Why make that clear? So instead, they say at the time of the
Not promoting what they think, as in promoting it, but at least saying what they think.
The accuracy of reality.
What I mean,
right?
I'm sure.
At the time of the far right row, the organisation, named in honour of the Scots naturalist known as the father of the national parks, said it was deeply angered and condemned the mountain's use in abhorrent racist propaganda.
Like White Lives Matter.
Yeah, but also just like the idea that like the mountain's use makes this work. It's a piece of hill. I don't really think this is a huge deal, but okay. These funds are directed towards humanitarian efforts in Palestine and to provision of clean water in Asia and Africa.
Hang on a minute. How is it a far-right row? One of the groups is...
well, Patriot Alternative are white nationalists, so...
Right, but is anything they do, then, a far-right row?
If you define far-right as including white nationalists.
Right, if, for example, you had an argument between radical rightists and radical leftists, why is that always becomes a far-right row?
That's a fair point.
You see what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, please continue.
But that's the comments, presumably, because they don't actually mention them in there. Although, again, I don't even have any evidence because, well, in the BBC article, they don't provide any. So what can you do? I really hate this from newspapers. Like, if you're going to say that, X horrible thing happened, show the thing.
Yes.
And you may remember, what was it, the Marcus Rashford mural? They were like, racist graffiti, and then someone went down and it was not racist. And it was because no one had ever shown the journalists what the racist graffiti was.
Yeah, they just picked it up. Oh, it was racist and
Copied and
parroted
pasted.
it.
When we move on, there are more and more of these. So we go to the next one. We have The Guardian. It's not just a white thing. How Flock Together are creating a new generation of birdwatchers.
Oh, I think I've heard of these people.
You're allowed to go bird watching. People with brown skin. No one's going to stop you. I won't stop you. The system won't stop you. The man's not going to keep you down. Go and watch as many birds as you want. No one's going to care. In June 2020, they brought 15 people to this very same spot for their first outing of their collective, Flock Together, a bird watching club that organizes monthly walks for people of color. And it's
just for people of colour.
It sounds like you're talking about dogs or something there. Like, we're going for monthly walks, but...
Oh, God.
Like, taking them for monthly...
We're taking the minorities for a walk.
Wait, just go... No one stop... I don't know why you have to do it with just people of colour, or brown people, as a human would say, instead of some kind of NPC progressive robot.
Yep.
They set up Flock Together last summer to challenge the underrepresentation of people of colour in outdoor spaces. What do you mean, challenge? Do you think there's someone like...
Who are you challenging?
Do you think there's someone going out there saying, all right, white guys, we need to get out there. We need to be out there hiking. We need to be out there bird watching because we need to show our power. We need to show the supremacy of the system.
That's how you do it. It's by sitting in a cold, muggy fen, staring through a pair of old binoculars.
Come out bird watching.
Looking at a curlew or something. Yeah, I don't think so.
Like, there's clan and skinhead guys being like, here, brother. Yeah. We're going to go bird watching together.
That's what like the black shirts did, isn't it, before they got into power?
Yeah, that's the early stages of fascism. For both founders, Flock Together is much more... is a movement for racial and environmental justice as it is a nature collective. And here's where you get into it.
Fabulous.
This is where all of these different organizations, I think, come down to. They are promoting the diversity in the countryside, not on the basis that they have any concern, because, of course, no one cares.
No, look, the BBC, The Guardian, they would not give a rat's behind about this if it weren't for the fact that this is diversity and inclusion.
But the people involved, I'm also very suspicious of.
They don't care about the environment, you know.
The people involved, I'm suspicious of because they say, as they said, it's much a movement for racial and environmental justice as it is a nature collective. After our walk, Perrier headed to Glasgow to speak at a panel at COP26. I mean, that's an unconnected person. That's someone who doesn't have political contacts. Just goes on I've got something else to do, then I'm going to Parliament.
I don't think they'd give me a panel.
I'm going to go to Parliament and lecture the MPs in the afternoon.
Oh, wouldn't that be great if we turned up and lectured them at COP26? Next time, maybe.
Quote, we're past the point of no return, says Ola Pekin. Black and brown communities are the most affected by climate change. And
I love the fact that people can just state that now as if it's not an immensely controversial statement on the facts of it.
Just part of the speech. Yeah, of course. I don't even know... Who do they even define as black and brown, for one? How could you even prove this?
And they're not talking about UK black and brown communities either. They're talking about the global ummah of black and brown people, aren't they?
Brown race.
Yeah.
Which I think the people most affected by climate change, as the argument goes, is actually like the Polynesians, because their islands disappeared.
Right.
But I suppose they're part of the black race now, or at least the politically black race. Anyway, they're saying here, so they're most affected by climate change, of course, brown people most affected, and are entirely underrepresented in mainstream politics. Just a blatant lie by just the data, but okay. Onipik and Pera see Flock Together as a way to effect change at a grassroots level.
That's probably why Bill Gates is funding this paper.
You know why most people get together and go bird watching for grassroots political change? No, they go to watch the birds. You get your binoculars and you're there to watch the bird.
Enjoy and depreciate the outdoors.
Why it's called bird watching.
Yeah.
Because bird, and you watch it. You don't go and do politics.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so
What's
suspicious
the betting
of
these
groups.
people when they go out camping? They're just sitting on their smartphones on Twitter the whole time.
Just dunking on the rightist.
Hey, look, there's a bird here. I don't care. Shh, I'm dunking on the rightist.
Yes, that's how I imagine it goes. We go to the next link. We also have CNN, who wrote an article similar to this.
Also funded by Bill and Melinda Gates.
Of course. Outdoor recreation has historically excluded people of colour. That's beginning to change. I don't think the rocks are keeping you down, brother. Dubbed the adventure gap or nature gap, the lack of diversity in outdoor recreation has become a hot topic in white-dominated spaces. In 2019, more than 50 CEOs of outdoor retailers signed a pledge to work towards diversity and inclusion in outdoors. So a bunch of people who sell outdoor merch all wrote a pledge together being like, we need to get more browns into the outdoors. Buy our merch, presumably. Because diversity. I mean, it sounds comical. I mean, it's like when all the companies got together to declare BLM was their most important movement and giving millions of dollars to this underrepresented organization as it is endorsed by all of corporate America, and then given millions and millions and millions to buy house after house after house. Miss Cullens. But the truth behind the gap in outdoor recreation, like so much in the US, has its roots in systemic racism, says Kang J. Jerry Lee, an assistant professor at North Carolina State University who studies race and outdoor leisure. Imagine that being your job. What do you study? I do particle physics. I do nuclear physics, microbiology, engineering.
Solid. Fabulous.
I do race and outdoor leisure.
Yeah, I bet he feels awesome when he's sitting in the parlour chatting to the professors of real academic subjects. I bet he feels like he just belongs there.
Yeah, well, he's the one getting interviews on CNN. As for the scientists or the engineers, not so much.
Yeah, because no academics want to talk to them, presumably.
He says in here, some white elites saw the urban environment as dirty, unhealthy, filled with lots of immigrants and people of colour, whereas green spaces were clean, quiet, and for white people, Lee said. Lee, you may have noticed that is the point about it being clean or the urban areas being dirty is universal, as in every race, every ethnic group came to the same conclusion that the urban areas of their countries are dirty and the countryside is clean. If every race came to that conclusion, it's not white supremacy.
There's also the fact that you as a community are kind of responsible for how clean your own space is. If you go to Japan, where people are fanatically clean about a lot of things, they sweep their step, they pick up litter, all of this, everywhere looks nice and clean. But if you go to a place where people don't do that, where they don't pick up litter, where they don't look after the local environment, it's going to be dirty. So if you're trying to link that with different races of people, I think you're saying something rather problematic there.
Mr. Lee, what are you trying to say? It couldn't have to do with the pollution or noise. No, it has to do with the brown skin, of course. So if we go to the next one, we have more stories of this. So this is another one. BAME women making outdoors more inclusive. I mean, who's funding this? I would have thought, but now I know. Bill and Melinda Gates.
Yeah.
Ethnic minorities often deterred from heading into the outdoors due to deep-rooted complex barriers, they say.
Yeah, but not actual, real, tangible barriers. They're deep-rooted, they're complex, they're invisible.
This is not like the end of the Soviet Union where there's like a human chain of people trying to stop you from passing or something.
Yeah, there aren't like police snipers roaming the countryside looking for the darkie.
That's how these people think about it. Recent Sport England researchers identified 6 barriers to participation in outdoor activities. Police snipers, human chain. No, they said. They said language. I don't think that. Look, if you can't speak English,
all right, you got in countryside, people speak like you're fast, isn't it?
If you can't speak countryside, fair enough. Who can blame you? But saying that I can't speak English, therefore I can't go to the countryside, shut up. No one's believing that. Awareness of what? The countryside exists? How do you not know? You've flown over it on the way to get here, presumably. Safety, safest place in the country, literally. Culture, that's again your choice. That's not a barrier. That's your decision. Or confidence and perception of middle-class stigma. Again, that's your delusion.
This is all BS. It's just complete
they say it in their own article, there are complex barriers. What are the complex barriers? Just retarded nonsense.
They do things differently there. Yeah, there's a complex barrier to my going to Japan because they have a different culture. So I'm never going to go there because, imagine.
Imagine having to do things a bit different. And then I thought we'd end us off with the last section here, which I think really gets to the obvious point, which is this is just a cult. This is just a cult of Me Too. Like, I want to be involved. How can I make me special? Don't you know I have brown skin? And if you get it up, John, the last one here. First woman of colour completes solo expedition to South Pole. Woman of colour. There we go. That's her achievement. I mean, if you wanted to make her achievement nil on the aspect of going to the South Pole, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
She got to the South Pole. Who cares about that? Loads of people been to the South Pole. Don't you know she's got brown skin? Because the woman part isn't actually important at all, because loads of women have been to the South Pole, as they will list later in this article.
It's a great achievement for her. I haven't been to the South Pole. I'd be proud of it for life if I had.
Yeah, but you're not a woman of colour, so...
But yeah, it only becomes newsworthy according to the Times. Let me just check if they were on the list.
I think they were.
I don't think they were on this list. They might be on another.
Buried in there somewhere. First woman of colour to journey solo to the bottom of the earth is defying expectations. What expectations? We already know humans can make it to the South Pole. Let's take that off the list.
But what about brown humans?
What about women? Well, we've done women. Brown humans, apparently, I don't know. Maybe presumably someone else who is brown has been to the South Pole. So what expectations? Name them. None. Literally just, can a brown woman make it to the South Pole? That's the story. Being brown isn't a disability, you idiots. She said that she did not merely wish to break a glass ceiling, but to smash it into a million pieces. So her herself believing this nonsense. What glass ceiling? Name the glass. There isn't one. Like, everyone has done this. Like, we discovered that women could make it to the South Pole and brown people, and you're like, yeah, but what about a brown woman? Don't you know I'm more inferior than all those groups? I could die. Your words. Anyway, quote, there are only a few female adventurers that have completed the solo, unsupported trek on this continent. It is time to add some more names, diversity, and to make history, she said.
Why?
I would have joked about the whole thing just being like the media doing this, but when the person themselves is also engaged in this...
Well, they live in the media environment. They've been swallowing this for years and years and years, and that's the messaging that permeates through to their utterances.
I mean, what an achievement as well, like going to the South Pole on your own, massive. Unsupported, and instead, how do I ruin it?
But like, if you look at the coverage of these sorts of things from 20 years ago, you'll more and more see that it's about the individual, the story of the individual hero. But here the individual is completely erased in favor of their collective characteristics. Oh, she's a woman. Oh, she's of colour. These sorts of things. But her actual story, like, I bet if she's been to the South Pole, she's got an absolutely fascinating life story. I bet that would make a great story. But they don't care because it's not the diversity aspect of it.
Like, if you were at a party with this person, having a drink, would you like to talk about the South Pole, the fact that she's got brown skin? Which is going to be more interesting as an evening.
Yeah.
It's going to be the South Pole trip.
Yeah.
So then I have to eat my own leg or whatever the hell else. They end this off with, in 2019, the last year before the pandemic interrupted expeditions, there were 9 successful solo trips to the South Pole from the coast, 4 of them by women. What was that? Almost 50% there being women. Mm-hmm. So, again, the woman part here, utterly useless. So the entire argument is, brown person makes it to South Pole. That's the story. If you decode what they're saying, that is what it... Did you know brown people can live at the South Pole? They could visit, just like white people. I am absolutely shook the times. And I mentioned that this is a cult, and I think it's a cult identifier. And, well, I've played this before, but we'll play it again because it fits the topic so perfectly. If we go to the next link, you can see this here, which is the smallest crevices of intersectionality. I think we have finally found it.
Oh, yes, I remember this.
Let's play the clip.
My name is Councillor Bashir Ibrahim, and I am proud to have become a councillor in May this year in a by-election, one of the first black male councillors in Islington in over 3 years. This is the government who want to whitewash a report to say that there is no institutional racism in the UK when, comrades, we know that there is institutional racism. We are in a situation where the Conservative Party have more black male MPs than the Labour Party. That is a great shame for us. We are the natural home for black communities, and black communities must know that we will always have their back.
I mean, putting aside all the party political racial nationalism there, that the Labour Party owns black people, rightio. Thank you, Labour Party Speaker number 5. There's the point that he makes that he is the first, or at least one of the first, as he says, so not even the first, one of the first black male councillors in Islington in over 3 years. Council elections being every 4 years. That's the lowest crevice. That is just, I'm part of the group, I swear. Yeah. If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com and subscribe to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as this article from Josh, Bill Gates from saving the world to worldwide infamy, in which he goes into, well, what a scumbag Bill Gates actually is. And there is an audio track there for Silver and Gold tier members in case you don't like reading. If you'd like to find out what else is coming out on the website, you can always follow us at Getter at lotuseaters_com being the @. Thank you and goodbye.